someone who went through the trenches of art school, I am here to give you all the tea, all the drama, and everything that you need to know before you consider going to art school. This very 2020-esque backdrop, because I don't have anything else to make my room look pretty, I'm gonna tell you every pro, con, and advice that I wish I knew before I went to art school. Without any further ado, because I tend to ramble, I'm gonna go straight into it. Start off with the pros. I feel like the first and one of the best things I think about going to art school is the fact that they give you all the equipment and all the facilities that you need to make your art. And that is included in your tuition, yes, but you still have access to it whenever you need to, and just gives you the freedom to create however much you want with the resources that you're given. So you also get subscriptions and additional resources like libraries and books and stuff to just like give yourself the freedom to make anything that you want, basically, mostly. Critique is a trainable skill that you learn, and that is very useful when it comes to art because it's not like math or like any science that there's like a correct answer. There are so many ways that you can go about any specific project that you're doing, and it's very good to get feedback and critique whether you agree to it or not, whether it's good or not. It's so nice to have like different views and opinions about the things that you create, and it gives you another perspective to your art, which is very valuable. It's also a skill to know how to take critique and not like take it personally, which you are forced to learn in there. And giving critique is very valuable too, because you learn how to dissect another person's work and package it in a way that is not offensive but useful. I learned to do like the sandwich method, where you say like one good thing, a critique, and then another good thing, so that it's, you know, you package it correctly. Structure and guidance is another thing that you get when you go to art school. When you're creating personal work and you don't have any deadlines and anyone like watching over you and forcing you to make it, you can procrastinate for decades, honestly. That's what I've been doing. But when you have deadlines and you have like guidance and support, it's so much easier to make a lot of work in a short amount of time. For example, I had a 10-week course, and it's like one of the three classes, all three classes, very like work heavy. And I made all of this work in those 10 weeks. I did not think that was possible, but when you are pushed to your limits, anything is possible. When you pull 1,500 all-nighters, anything is doable. Ugh, I know that. I've been a test subject. The relationship you build with your professors, who are usually like professionals in the industry, are very valuable, because aside from all the critique and all the advice they give you, they're also professionals in the industry, and they can give you a job if you need one, which you probably do, because I know I do. Learning things that you would otherwise never come across is so good when you're in art school. That in turn makes your art better, because now you have a lot more sources of inspiration or like techniques that you know about that you can use in your art to improve your creativity, basically. And the last pro that I want to say is the people that you meet. Honestly, the environment in art school is so not like anywhere else, because that's the one place where everyone goes to just make art. And you know that everyone that you come across, you share an interest about art. Like, everyone just loves what they do. If they didn't, they wouldn't be there and pay that much money. The amount of times that you come across the word passion in people's speeches or like anything that they talk about is crazy. Like, it's the most like passion-filled environment that you will ever be, and that kind of makes you also be like that. And now for the tea, for the cons, for the thing I'm excited to talk about the most. The first con, it's neither a con nor a pro, it's just a fact. Any like artistic endeavor, so competitive. Not in terms of acceptance, because the school I went to at least had like a very high acceptance rate. The competitiveness in terms of like the quality of art that you make, like in the classroom environment, everyone tries to be better than the other or like compares themselves to others so much. It's like art is one of those like disciplines where you're constantly comparing yourself to each other, and you're supposed to be graded and ranked based on these objective parameters, while it's inherently the most subjective thing ever. There's the constant comparison and competitiveness and judgment from other parties in any case, whether you succeed or fail. Surprisingly, also another con, I did not expect this. I truly went in there thinking it would be the most open-minded and like accepting environment ever, but people are incredibly judgmental, at least in my experience. And other people in my school shared the same opinion, that a lot of people in there are so judgmental. I think it also ties to the previous thing that I mentioned. The competitiveness kind of drives that judgment. Maybe, I don't know. I think because art is like so based on our introspection and like analyzing ourselves and other people, that the judgment is kind of understandable, but I feel like there's a point when that becomes a little too much. I don't mean acceptable when I say understandable, but you get what I mean. When you pay that amount of money and you go to art school and then you are eventually stuck in debt trying to pay back the tuition money, you would think the career that you're studying for would pay you the amount that would allow you to live and also pay back the debt. When it doesn't. A lot of those careers, they're so passion driven, especially the entry level jobs. They will not, sometimes you would even have to work for free. They don't pay nearly enough for you to cover all the expenses and all the costs that you would get into when you get into debt for art school. So that's like the main con. That's the biggest and the one thing that you need to think about and consider before you even like think about going to art school. If you're gonna get into debt for a career that does not pay well, think carefully. I say that with like my full chest. If you're gonna go to fucking equestrian major, babe, let's go back a step. Let's please rethink that for a second. Oh my god, those sources are not gonna help you pay your debt, babe. A lot of the time in art school, it is still self-education. In my degree specifically, I studied game design and minored in concept art. They don't teach you absolutely everything you need to know for a certain project. And you still have to find ways like YouTube tutorials, Reddit threads, anything to learn it yourself and like do the project. In my view, that in itself can be useful in some cases, because when you try to search for a solution, eventually you learn things that were not the thing that you were looking for in the first place. So that is good in some sense. But when you're paying that much money, you'd think that you'll learn everything that you need to know to complete your assignments. But no. To be fair, they can't teach you in like the short amount of time that they have. They can't teach you absolutely everything you need to know about like certain very deep subjects like blueprinting or like VFX or things like that. That raises the question of what exactly am I paying for here if I'm still doing the big chunk of learning by myself. It's not even like the practice part, it's the learning part. So think about that. On that note, this might be different from school to school, but the skill level in every class is very all over the place. So sometimes professors struggle with not teaching something too difficult to the kid that doesn't know enough, and something that's too easy to the kid that knows too much. And that is the case in higher level classes too, in junior year or senior year. So if you're passionate about what you do and you practice in your own time and you know a lot about a topic, you might go to class, like half of the semester you might go to class and not learn anything new and just have to sit through critique, hours and hours of critique. But a solution to that is to like overshoot for all the assignments. Like if you're given a project, you just do the most. You just do the most and like pick a topic or make a project that's it's gonna challenge your skills. At the end of the day, if we conclude everything that's been said here, art school is what you make of it. Like, it can be the best experience or the worst experience of your life. And when you're paying that much money, do you really want to gamble that? No one will hand you the opportunities, friends, or a good experience. It is truly, truly what you make of it. And I wish I internalized that sooner. I only put myself out there in the last year, and I went there for only 3 years instead of 4 because of my high school, but that's another topic. But I wish I knew that sooner, and I actually believed it, because you should believe it. If you heard all of this and now you're strongly debating whether you should or should not go to art school, I'm just gonna put out there a few alternatives that you can think about before you make that big decision. First of all, there are a lot of courses, whether in person or online, that give you the same amount of knowledge, just in a different environment, and you might not get like a bachelor's degree, which is the thing you're paying for at the end. You'll still get a lot of the skills and a lot of the knowledge that you need to get a job, which I think in this day and age, that's more important than a degree. The skills is what you get hired for. The portfolio is what you get hired for, not the degree. So if you can do what a professional can do without paying tens of thousands of dollars, you win. You automatically fucking win. For example, there's New 3 Edge in Paris. It's really good for concept art. There's Goblins in Paris, I think, too, for animation. No, whatever, I'll put it here. That's in LA. Very expensive still, but I think they have certificate programs. Because if it's shorter, it's less expensive. Anyways, for online resources, there's ArtNest. I'm mainly listing things for concept art because that's mainly what I'm interested in. So ArtNest, Proco, you might have seen his channel if you're into art at all. Schoolism, that's also a thing. CGMA, I found, is a good resource. Those are some useful things that you might want to look into before you commit to a 4-year art school. But yeah, I wish I knew all of this information sooner before I went. In the end, I do value my experience there, and I think it was a good experience. It could have been better though. My first year there, I'm an international student, if you couldn't tell by my accent. I'm an international student, so I flew across the world to go to art school. And the first year was just me adjusting. And that's just me, my cocoon. I'm like so scared to talk to people. I'm adjusting. And then I find my freshman year friend group. Yay! We've all heard fucking horror stories about that. I find my freshman year friend group. And I'm so happy, finally, someone that I can talk to, a friend group that I can talk to and hang out with, and it's so nice. And that's the calm before the storm. That's the calm before the storm. And then the second year comes around. It's still, the beginning is nice. I'm still with that friend group. But then, as any freshman year friend group, it all falls apart. And the entirety of the second year was me dealing with the bullshit that entire situation gave me. So that basically is out the window. The whole second year was just me trying to focus on work and try to handle all that bullshit, which was insane. And the third year, my final year, is when I started to put myself out there. I started going out, I started making friends, and I started actually having the college experience that I always wanted. I'm finally adjusted. I finally know who I am and what I want, and I can talk to people. And now I'm graduated. And I just, as soon as I was like, yes, I got the hang of it, done. Now you got your degree, go home. Yeah, a lot of those courses that I mentioned will give you a very similar environment. Will give you like a group of people that are interested in the same things as you, mentors that will help you improve without the price tag. And also maybe without the degree, but you don't really need that. You do need the education and the skills. You don't need the piece of paper that tells you that you spent all that money. 2020 fucking background is killing me. Should I have changed the color maybe? No. Oh, if I'm wearing red, I should have done green. Fuck, now I'm not qualified to talk about art school. That's like the main thing you learn. But still I rise, I guess. I trust you with the decision on what to do for your future. So, go forth, conquer the world, my student. Also, I have my little plushie. Look at this. It says SCAD. It's my school. I feel like this is the most valuable thing I've gotten out of that school.